that 54 decision was something that sort of languished in the back of my mind. And the Little Rock School Board was attempting to comply with that decision. They were sued by the state NAACP woman, Daisy Bates, who I think doesn't get enough recognition for the role she played in the modern civil rights movement. So I signed a sheet of paper the spring of 1957 that said if I would like to be considered as a transfer student to Central High School. The night before school was to open, Governor Forbes came on television and said he was calling out the National Guard to bar our entrance, and he was going to, and white students would be able to go to class. I had a small group of clergy, both black and white ministers, who were part of the cadre that helped to escort us to the school. And the mob and the noise and all of that, it didn't seem to me I was going to get into school that first day. But when I got home that evening was when I finally saw the news footage of Elizabeth Eckford. Elizabeth is sort of the face of Little Rock. She was the lone student, the girl with the mob behind her. Well, that year was kind of like going to war. There were a few teachers who were very supportive. Most of them they tried to sit on the sideline. It may have been Nixon who talked about the silent majority. Many of them were in that category. There were a few students who attempted to befriend us, but they also were intimidated and harassed, and their families, businesses were threatened with them having much or anything to do with us. So that by the middle of the year, the internal politics of the school had really been taken over by the most rabid segregationists. So my view was I was going to stick with it, and that this was something that I thought, was worth accomplishing, and that I needed to buckle down and try to complete that year. In fact, my graduation, I had a special guest. Dr. King was speaking at a college about 40 miles from Little Rock in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And the night of my graduation, he came up, sat with my family. I had an opportunity to meet him a number of other times. In fact, I was in college and I was in graduate school when the march occurred. And I and my fiance and another fellow, we drove all night from East Lansing, Michigan to Washington to be part of the March on Washington. So we all should show up for the march, because it seemed to me the political statement it was trying to make was one that the country needed to hear. That march, March for Jobs and Freedom, I thought was an overwhelming accomplishment, and I think one of the singular political achievements that we've seen. And obviously, where we are today is an occurrence from that.